Hey guys, gotta talk about something that I just feel I have to freaking get off my chest. Okay, I've read, I've criticized people for having these little mini crusades that really don't amount to crap. I could think of example number one, but I'm not gonna friggin' uh serve him by giving him friggin' free publicity. I just won't do it. But the problem is that I don't know if I'm not doing the same thing. Speaking of a message of a movement that has no real equatable real life value or even a coherent stance to be something that could at least be self consistent and not just subjective from issue to issue to issue to whatever you want it to be. Of course, I'm speaking about social deregulation. And I've tried to look for a term that maybe is what it really is. Like, is it a minimalism? Is it uh, right leaning or communitarianism? What is it? Some kind of libertarian view? An objectivist point? I can't find anything that fits it. I've even looked into nationalism or socialism. Just to be honest, I hate the term socialism, but if I'm equating some form of frigging Marxism, well, I think I need to review my frigging thinking. But anyway, let me briefly recap social deregulation. Basically, the whole concept behind social deregulation is that I view social capital as having the importance of having a free exchange of ideas in like the social networks and society that we have. In other words, my beef is that things of advocacy groups are like lobbies for businesses. They are corrupt because they have to be self sustaining. And like any other lobby, they're just an organization that first and foremost treats itself as a personhood and not a group of individuals. And that depletes from private liberty. So basically, what I'm saying is that social deregulation is a, I believe, I may be misquoting communitarianism, but what I think it is a communitarian concept. And you can look up communitarian and see for yourself. Although my views are significantly more right leaning on social issues. So, basically, the whole paradigm shift would be is that you deregulate anything that is a social issue and instead you create regulations for it that are economic. You switch the paradigm. You shift frigging all this political effort from advocacy groups with anything to do with social issues into economic issues that pertain, well, any economic issue, but things that have an influence on, well, no, that's not right. Let me get that wording right. I'm sorry. But it's not that you're going to shift everything to an economic issue and put an emphasis on economics that have influences on social issues. It's that when you create a focus just on economic issues, the social issues will follow by suit. With better infrastructure comes a lot less problems with inner city homelessness. With better medical care, a lot of issues of teen pregnancy disappear. With better roads and what can I say? Uh, Better housing. A lot of issues of fair housing disappear. You see, because one is a social issue, the other is an economic issue. And what I really believe is that the economic issues are really, or the social issues are really displaced economic issues for the most part. But what happens when you don't have positive liberty or positive rights, is that you get a regressive society. And that means that you get things like Jim Crow laws and segregated South because there's nothing that really says no one can't do that in a private business. And my view is if you're going to freaking create everything where there's an anti-corporate views because the laws are changed, like corporations would lose their right to have businesses have rights of personhood, then about everything is going to be a private business, even though you're regulating it. Because I wouldn't see state-controlled jobs, you see, but I would see high regulation and accountability in private jobs and political funding and all that. Well, anyway, this all comes back, if you're still around, and my God, if you're still around, thank you very much. But it comes back to the issue of social deregulation, how it not being a thing that just fits anything you want it to be arbitrarily. And what I was thinking about this was this case with the talk and how uh, how you could say that it would be very easy to go, oh yeah, I hate frigging social regulations and I'm completely against all advocacy groups. You know, well, in my case, to be honest, when it fits the traditional statist agenda, like feminism, like anti-racist. You know, I'm not for racism and I'm not for friggin' sexism, but at the same time, these are groups that really, while I support their goal of supporting individualist rights, because that is true liberty, I do not support their positive rights that take away from negative rights, which is real constitutional liberty. And so, you know, it's easy to say, oh, you know, oh look, here comes friggin' what's his name said, nappy-headed hoe, for example, that radio broadcaster, I forgot his name now. And look, here comes Al Sharpton. Just another example of the friggin' social progressive friggin' totalitarian nanny state coming after you again. And really denying us what they're really advocating. If you can see my point. And then in another sense, well, Why should people apologize? And why should people friggin' be sorry, even in a public broadcast, in a job, when they're not? So this is de facto collectivism and statism in a social uh, arena, because you can have all the free speech you want, but if you can't say it where it counts and where it friggin' matters, and like public viewing, politics, or other places, then you've created a bulkhead of social consensus that is politically, socially progressive. Okay? So, we've established that. But then, we come across this case with the talk. And it's like, oh, well, on one hand, it's kind of easy to laugh at the friggin' Bobbitt jokes. But it's another hand to be kind of a little bit mad about it. But what's the worst thing is to be self-consistent in those views. And that means that even though I'm outraged at the talk, and all of a sudden I'm for men's rights because, and she should apologize and everything else, and even the feminists are saying this because they believe in men's rights when it's expedient to, but it's not really a zero-sum game either. It's about people having their rights. And just a question of what right is that. But the point is that I come to the very uncomfortable conclusion that I shouldn't be wanting the talk to apologize. Because even if I don't like what she's saying, I should be supporting her right to say it and not apologize for it. Just like freaking the guy Don something, I forgot what it was. Don Exodus? I don't know. No, not Don Exodus. Whatever his name was. That said nappy headed hoe. So it's like, well, wait a minute, I don't want to support that. I want to agree with the friggin' statist, collectivist, social progressives that are standing up in this instance for man's rights, because it furthers the thought, well, what if someone said that about a woman? And we all know that's what I want to say about women. I mean, I wouldn't want some guy to get up there and freaking say, oh yeah, slice them up, But it's still against social deregulation. That's sometimes how I have a problem with social deregulation, is that there's not enough positive rights in it. And that's something I haven't quite figured out yet. How can you keep some basic positive rights so everything doesn't slip into a regressive state that will eventually default back to frigging the majority rule, which, well, at least what they tell us will be 19 or pre-civil rights era. Now, I don't know if we even believe that anymore, but maybe not. I mean, if anybody understood all this jumbling and my bad video making, but the points I have addressed, please tell me. Christ on a stick, Oh, God, now I've got probably some religious person upset with me. I mean, it's just like frigging how I can be against gay rights being legislated, but actually support gay marriage because it should be the church or choice of the church to exclude it or include it as they see fit. So I would have to be forced to say I would be freaking pro-gay rights or pro-gay marriage because I'm against it. Well, I'm against freaking anybody setting social policy about it. Either against it or for it. So, honestly, if you're not completely against it, then you're kind of for it. It's like I'm against all social engineering. It's like freaking the English only thing, or a lot of other social engineering that falls to the right that I agree with. And social issues that I should be disagreeing with because I support social deregulation. I don't know. Why can't some people who friggin' humanize things, and I think we know who we're talking about, Mr. friggin' Fancy Pants, friggin' Super Pants. Yeah, there's that video. I think we know who we're talking about. Friggin' one word for everything. I mean, at least I'll be enough to friggin' be self-consistent. I mean, really, the talk, social deregulation, how's that supposed to work? And not just be uh, something so uh, malleable that it's just always consistent on whatever you want it to be. I don't know.